Airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock.
He hits it.
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it. The Ducks have won.
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Oregon's a Fiesta Bowl champion in a 12-win season.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
How about last night, huh? Never a doubt for the Ducks up in Seattle on the basketball court as Oregon got the 76-74 win over the Huskies. We're breaking that whole game down, how it happened for Oregon in the late second heroics by Jermaine Kuznar to seal the victory for the Ducks. We're also going back to the Fiesta Bowl as we still have so much more content from the field, talking to a whole bunch of different Duck players. We'll have that for you later on the show. Also, Oregon women's basketball starting off their weekend tonight against UCLA, the second-ranked team in the land, the Bruins, a tall task in front of the Ducks as they are going up against two top 10 teams this weekend. So all of that and maybe a little bit more on the docket for today's show. I'm your host, Ryan Milano, in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. So let's flash back to last night because I want to break down exactly what happened in the 76-74 win for the Ducks as Oregon advances to 3-0 in Pac-12 play. We had Joey on the show yesterday, and Joey and I talked about a few keys for this game. It was limiting Washington in transition. They really like to run in transition. Oregon did a pretty decent job of that. It was winning the three-point battle. Oregon did that against UCLA. The Ducks didn't quite do it against Washington. Washington shot the ball well, but so did the Ducks. Pretty comparable three-point numbers. But the big key that both Joey and I talked about was the foul trouble battle in this ball game. And, well, Oregon, they did not stay out of foul trouble, especially early, and the Ducks really dug themselves a little bit of a hole in the first half because of it. You got into this ball game, and it started and it was back and forth for the first about 10 points, and then Washington started to gap Oregon just a bit, had about a 5, 6, 7-point cushion, and that's when the Ducks started to get into the foul trouble. The shots started falling for Oregon late in the first half, but the Ducks kept giving the Huskies free opportunities. Oregon had 11 first-half fouls in this ball game with Jermaine Kuznar, Brennan Rigsby, Keyshawn Barthélemy, and Jadrian Tracy all in foul trouble after the first half. And late in that first half, it was Oregon who was giving Washington a lot of free trips to the free throw line because, well, the Ducks kept fouling off the ball. It wasn't even on-ball reach-in fouls or shooting fouls. It was ticky-tack off-ball fouls that allowed Washington to get to the line and allowed the Huskies to continue to keep pace with Oregon when the Ducks were starting to find their way from the field and were coming back into the ball game. Oregon really got outshot at the free throw line, especially in the first half. Closed that margin in the second half and were more efficient than the Huskies throughout the game, but Oregon just shot one free throw in the first half. Washington shot 13. Despite that, Oregon stayed in the ballgame. It was actually a really strong job by the Ducks, and this is where Jackson Shelstad did a strong job of steadying the boat a little bit for Oregon throughout the first half. It was the freshman who put 11 points on the board in the first 20 minutes, 5 of 8 shooting in the first half, and matched the output from Washington's top scorer, Wheeler, who seemed like he was all over the place in the first half. So Oregon, it seemed like Washington was outplaying the Ducks, but the Ducks kept hanging in it. It was 36-30 at the break when you felt like it could have been a lot worse for Oregon, and right out of the break, Dana Altman talked so much about winning each 4-minute chunk. And, well, Oregon won the first and the second 4-minute chunk of the second half. It first started with Mohamedou Diawara. He came in, he made his presence known, knocked down a few inside shots, knocked down a few free throws, and inched the Ducks closer as Washington continued to score, but Oregon was scoring at a little bit of a higher clip. Then came Mookie Cook. Congratulations to Mookie Cook, by the way. First time he gets into the ballgame, first minutes as a collegiate, first minutes as a Duck. Really strong start to his career. I was watching only him, actually, for the 6 minutes that he was on the floor, and you could just tell he was thinking about everywhere that he needed to be. His hands were active. He was able to get a run out on a dunk. He was able to fill in on a cutter in the dunker spot on a dunk as well. So 2 dunks to start off his career for his first 4 points in his Oregon career. He played 6 minutes in the game, 4 points, 1 rebound, and a steal. He did look a little gassed. Dana Altman talked about it. Hasn't played a game in about 10 months, so it's going to be a little bit of journey getting that stamina back from Mookie Cook. You could tell once that media timeout happened, went over to the bench, was definitely sipping on some water, but the effort was there, and it was clear that the minutes he played were some really hard minutes and didn't make a mistake. In fact, he was +4 in his 6 minutes that he was on the floor, so making an impact. And the Ducks were down 5 when he checked in and were up 3 when he checked out. That's sort of the mark of a strong rotation, at least for the first substitution that he was in. It was only about a 4-minute stretch. So a really nice job by Mookie Cook in his first game as a Duck in order to put himself in there, assert himself, and get a few points on the board to bring Oregon back and take the lead. Him, along with a few other players, continued that second half momentum. And for the remainder of the second half, Oregon had the lead and never really relinquished it, but also couldn't extend it. I mentioned the Ducks won those first 2 4-minute chunks of the second half, but the game really slowed down from the 10-minute mark to about the 5-minute mark. Oregon only had a basket from 9:55 on the clock to 4:07 on the clock. It was 1 field goal for the Ducks and 2 free throws. It was a way to let Washington back into the game, and the Huskies would come all the way back and tie it up with about 4 minutes left on the clock. Then the last 4 minutes of the game happened, and it felt like the last 4 minutes were a completely different basketball game than the first 36. It was all about big-time shot making in the last 4 minutes, both from the Ducks and Huskies side, as both teams were knocking down shots at a pretty efficient clip, especially when it mattered. It was Washington who got up by 2 points with 3 minutes left, and then Jadrian Tracy, he comes down, bam, makes 2 clutch free throws, ties it right back up. Very next possession, Oregon has it late in the shot clock, driving down the lane, kick out open shooter, Brennan Rigsby in the corner, 3-point bucket, Ducks up 3. The only problem is that Washington was making their shots too. Jermaine Kuznar comes down, makes 2 free throws, but Washington continued to come back and tie it up, and all of a sudden it's tied with under a minute to go. Then is where Kwame Evans, he really showed out in this ballgame. I thought that Kwame, the freshman, had a really strong performance for the Ducks in this ballgame where he was really all over the place, and where he started to make a real difference is in the pick and roll. And with under a minute left, pick and roll, and, well, the Huskies forgot to guard the freshman. He's under the basket, late rotations by Washington. That's an easy 2 to put the Ducks up by 2. Washington comes back. They tied on the other end with some free throws after Huskies in the bonus. Off-ball foul. They're able to make 2 free throws to tie it up once again. All of a sudden, 39 seconds left in the game, Oregon has a decision to make. Are you going to try to score early? Or are you going to try to score late in the shot clock and play some defense? Ducks select to score late in the shot clock. It was Jermaine Kuznar going to the bucket, driving left with the right hand, able to bank it off the glass and get those 2 points to put Oregon in front with 12 seconds left. You're feeling okay if you're a Duck fan here, but, well, Washington, they got a really good look with about 5 seconds left in the ballgame from 3. Only thing is, in a game that down the stretch came down to big-time shot making, Washington couldn't make the big-time shot in the end. Oregon did. So a big-time game for Oregon as the Ducks hold on to win against the Huskies. Joey Mack met up with Dana Altman after the game to break down the win. A happy Dana Altman because there was a victory, but also still a lot to learn from and a lot to improve on. Here's Coach after the ballgame.
Coach, I was just talking about Jermaine Couisnard, and maybe we'll start there. I know he picked up those 2 early fouls, but then down the stretch made that big bucket for you, and when he was in there, made a difference.
Yeah, we were a lot better with him tonight on the floor, both offensively and defensively, and Bam and Cario really struggled tonight. Just not very good offensive plays, and defensively just missed a lot of assignments. But Mookie gave us a big lift. Came in for 6 minutes and did a great job for us. Jackson was solid again. But no, it was a good effort. A lot of guys played well, and you got to find a way to win on the road. And our execution again wasn't what I wanted it to be. We're just wasting too many possessions with guys going one-on-one, trying to break the defense down with no ball movement from side to side. I just can't. I love them playing with confidence. Don't get me wrong, but confidence and not playing smart is 2 different things. We got to move that ball and get them out of position before we try penetrating. And Cario, Bam, they just, and even Jackson a couple times just tried penetration. When the defense is set with their size and length, we couldn't get it done.
Yeah, but found a way to win, Coach, and that's a positive, right? There's still more potential for this team.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you go on the road, you just got to find a way to win, and the guys did that. It's a quad 1 road win.
Yeah.
And we needed something good like that. So, no, I'm pleased for the guys. They battled, found a way at the end, showed a little composure, hit some big free throws. Jermaine's 2 big ones there. So, guys found a way.
I was talking about free throws during the game, Coach. That was a big key. You got to be happy with your free throw shooting the last couple games.
Absolutely. No, we have finished games off, hitting free throws at the end. And, we shot 81% against USC, 71% against UCLA, and 77% tonight.
Here.
So if you can keep it in those high 70s and, that – but you got to hit those ones down the stretch, and we did a good job there.
How about KJ, too? Continues to build on his game for you.
Yeah, I missed that dunk under that. But, no, I thought he did some really good things. You take out the missed threes, he's 7 for 10, and the 2 moves he had, he didn't quite finish in the first half, and then he missed that layup, So, but other than that, 7 for 10 inside. He finished plays, and guys did a good job of finding him. I thought we made some really good passes when he rolled to the basket.
How about the second chance points, too, Coach, and the rebounding margin? You're +3, and then you win second chance points +8. I felt like that was a key here.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, when we out-rebounded them and 17-9 on second chance points, you're right. That's the game. We didn't shoot it that great. And especially from 3, I thought we had some really good looks. We just didn't knock down. So, I thought the second chance points was big, and we didn't turn it over too much. I thought we had some bad ones, but 11 turnovers. We got them to turn it over 13 times, but we just didn't score off of them.
Yeah. Building on this now, Coach, last one for you, heading to Washington State.
Yeah, it'd be another quad 1 game. They've got a good record. I think they've lost 2 or 3 games, and they're playing Oregon State tonight, so we'll see how that goes. But that's a tough place to play over there. The atmosphere is usually not very good, and we're going to have to play really well. We haven't played well there the last couple of years.
All right, Coach, congrats on the win. We'll catch up with you in a couple
of days.
All
righty, thanks.
That was Joey Mack with Coach Altman after the win. Obviously, some stuff to improve upon, but I want to touch on a few of the stats that Joey went down with Coach Altman during that interview there, where free throws, that was a big difference in the ballgame. Oregon shooting 77% from the stripe, where Washington shot just 55%. When Oregon, I mentioned the first half discrepancy where Washington outshot the Ducks by 12 at the free throw line, but Oregon finished the game 10 of 13 from the stripe, where Washington only went 12 of 22. So when the opposing team is getting 9 more free throws, but only making 2 more than you in a ball game, it's okay. It keeps Oregon in the ball game in a game where the Ducks fouled a fair bit and sent Washington to the line a lot. Here's some of the individual stats for Oregon that were really key in the ballgame. Jackson Shellstat, I mentioned his 11 in the first half really steadied the ship. He had 17 points total in the ballgame, 7 for 11 from the field, and 3 assists. So a pretty well-rounded stat line for the freshman, but there's no doubt about it. Jermaine Couisnard seemed like he was the player of the game. He made the big shot at the end, but I think his all-around stat line might even tell a bigger story. 16 points in the ballgame, 6 of 11 shooting, also had 8 rebounds. He's really stepped up in the rebounding department as a guard who has taken an emphasis to assert himself more inside and chase after those rebounds. So good job by him. Also 3 assists and 2 steals in the ballgame, so creating some of that transition offense for Oregon as well, and dishing it out with his assist play. His plus-minus in the ballgame, plus 17. Yeah, Jermaine Couisnard, he did battle a little bit of foul trouble, so didn't play for the whole game. Only had about 20 minutes in the ballgame, or 29 minutes actually in the ballgame, but for those 29 minutes that he had, Oregon was a significantly better team than Washington when Couisnard was on the floor. How about Kwame Evans in this game as well? 15 points and 8 rebounds for the freshman. Didn't seem like he was a huge focal point in this ballgame, but the more that I've continued to dive into this game and after the fact watching the highlights, Kwame Evans has really made an impact both offensively and defensively, because not only did he have those 15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals. Yeah, that's how to make your impact known on the defensive side of things. A plus 13 for the freshman Kwame Evans. And there's really 2 areas where I see his game really improving. There's been a lot of talk with KJ about his embracement of physicality over the past few weeks with Nate Biddle and Folly Dante down for the Ducks, where he's had to step into being that true power forward or even a true center for Oregon at times. And it seems like as the pick-and-roll screener, he's done a really strong job at being able to, create mismatch. On that final shot by Jermaine Couisnard, Oregon actually got a switch because it was an isolation all the way on the left side of the floor, but it was created because Kwame Evans basically just walked into Jermaine Couisnard's defender and said, okay, we're going to go over here with everyone else, and I want my guy to guard him. And, well, it ended up working. Couisnard gets the faster first step against the bigger defender and is able to get to the hole. Also, Kwame Evans is showing a little bit of some Kenny Wooten qualities on the defensive end with some shot blocking, a little bit of a slenderer frame, but some strong shot blocking presence where you could draw some similarities between one of the best shot blockers that's ever come to this university. I think that that's really strong play by Kwame Evans on both sides of the ball, doing some of the little things that don't always show up in the box score. Also, Brendan Rigsby in this ballgame, he had 9 points, 3 of 4 from deep in this ballgame, so he knocked down some clutch shots, especially down the stretch, that corner 3, to put the Ducks in front by 3. And then we mentioned Mookie Cook in his collegiate debut, 4 points, a rebound, a steal, and plus 4 in 6 minutes for the Ducks. Those are the individual stats for Oregon. What does this mean for the resume as a whole? Well, you heard Coach Altman talk about it. It's the first Quad 1 win of the year for Oregon. And I know it's still January. It's still early to start talking about resume and net and Quad 1 and all that stuff. And, well, if you need a refresher for what Quad 1 wins actually mean, on the road, it's a top 75 team in the net. If you beat a top 75 team in the net on the road, it's a Quad 1 win. If it's a neutral site, it's a top 50 team. If it's at home, it's a top 30 team. Those are what qualifies for Quad 1 wins. So that win over Washington, best win of the season for Oregon. It's their first Quad 1 win of the year. That matters, especially when you're looking forward to March and how things continue to stack up for if Oregon is going to be in to the NCAA tournament. You look at Quad 1 wins. You also look at something like net, where Oregon jumps up 8 spots. They entered the game at 72 in the net. Now they're all the way up to 64th. Oregon leapfrogged the Huskies in the net rankings to now become the 5th Pac-12 team in the net. They're just behind Washington State, who will be the opponent coming up on Saturday. We'll talk about that just a little bit later in the show. Also, according to ESPN bracketology, before the game, Oregon came in as one of the next 4 out. So essentially, Oregon was the 8th team out. Now, in the latest ESPN bracketology that was released this morning, Oregon is in the field as a 12 seed. Still so much more season left to go and a whole lot to still figure out from that department. But you want to sort of know where your team stacks up at any given time. And, well, right now, Oregon's playing good ball, and it's being recognized on a national scale. The Ducks, if the season ended today, would probably be in the tournament. So that's something good to look at if you're a Duck fan, and good to sort of monitor as we continue to move forward throughout the season. And we'll update you on Duck Insider as we continue to move forward through the year on where Oregon stands with the net, the Quad 1, and all of those other analytical stuff that I'm not even sure I can still keep track of. But that's where Oregon stands as of right now with the 76-74 win over Washington. The Ducks advance to 3-0 in Pac-12 play. We're not done talking about the win just yet. Joey talked with Keyshawn Bartholomew as well after the game. We'll get to Key after this timeout. You're listening to Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you, because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you, because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union, where people are the point. Oregon got the 76-74 win over Washington last night, a big-time table setter for the rest of the Pac-12 conference play. Oregon starting 3-0 in conference, still a lot more to play, and even some more this weekend as they'll play against Wazoo at 7 o'clock coming up tomorrow. But after the game, Joey, he talked with not only Dan Altman, but also Keyshawn Bartholomew after the game. Here's what Key had to say on the crucial Duck victory.
We're just going through some of the numbers, and Keyshawn Bartholomew runs over to join us for a minute. All right, Key, I got to ask about the end of the game. I mean, you just find a way to win here down the stretch. What was the key down the stretch for you guys?
I think our guys really locked in defensively, and we made a lot of good plays down the stretch. Brendan 3. Off of Jackson's play, off driving off, and then Jermaine at the end making that layup against Brooks. That was really huge. I felt like we stayed composed on the stretch, and we were able to come out with the win.
Talk to me about the ISO, and then Jermaine goes in and scores. I mean, when you're watching that happen, that's a heck of a play.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, you broke it down perfectly. He got to his spot, and he's a vet. He's been around, and we were able to get that play set up for him, and he delivered.
Yeah. So early in the game, I mean, he's got 2 fouls, right? He plays less than 20 minutes in this game. How did that change for you guys in the first half? And then how did it change when he was back out there a lot in the second half?
We just got guys that are ready, you know what I'm saying? Everybody stepped up to the plate and did what they had to do, and we contributed as a team. I feel like we got a great group of guys, and Everybody was ready tonight.
Talk about the everybody being ready. I mean, shoot, going on the road's tough, right?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have to grind them out and find a way to win. I felt like you guys did that tonight. Like, how much confidence does this give you now moving forward?
Oh, great confidence. I mean, we can't be too happy about this result, celebrate it tonight, and then move on. Washington State is a really tough place to play because, I mean, we're going to have to generate our own energy there and just find a way like we did today. It wasn't easy, but we came out with the win.
You talked, too, about the defense and the way that you guys locked in. It felt like in transition, you guys kind of set the tone, and I know they pride themselves so much on transition. I feel like that's maybe something you guys can build on.
For sure. I mean, all week we were practicing transition defense and really, like, focusing, honing in on those skills defensively, communicating, and really matching up because Washington is probably one of the best teams that we played in transition so far. They got a quick point guard that pushes it and a lot of good shooters. So we really honed in on that, and we were successful.
All right, Key. Thanks for the time, man. Go get some dinner, will you?
Keyshawn Barthélemy breaking it down with Joey Mack. Not the greatest scoring output for Barthélemy, but filled out the box score in different ways. 2 points, 3 rebounds, but 5 assists for Keyshawn Barthélemy, spreading it around to his teammates in the ball game. A complete team victory for the Ducks. They knocked down the Huskies 76-74, and you heard Joey talking about it with Key. Ducks aren't done for the weekend. Saturday, 7 o'clock, pregame show starting at 6:30 on the Oregon Sports Network, breaking down the Ducks and the Cougs. Here's a little bit of a game preview here on Duck Insider. Oregon right now sitting at 64th in the net rankings after the win over Washington. Just 4 spots behind Washington State at 60th. So an opportunity for Oregon, to jump another Pac-12 team in the net rankings, and also a road win against a top 75 team in the net. That would be another quad 1 victory for Oregon as well. So a lot to play for the Ducks. Wazoo this season sitting at 10-4 on the year, just knocked off Oregon State after they had a pretty strong second half last night against the Beavers in order to rally from a first half deficit similar to how the Ducks did against Washington. Here's a little bit of a scouting report on Washington State. They're a team that forces you into some bad shots. They have the best opponent field goal percentage, opponent three-point percentage, and the most blocked shots in the Pac-12. So it's difficult to get high-quality looks against Washington State. Also difficult to get second-chance looks against Washington State. That's an area that Oregon did really good in against Washington. That was one of the big key difference makers in this ball game. So Oregon going to have to play a clean offensive game against a Washington State team that likes to keep the score a little bit lower and likes to play a little bit of a slower pace of basketball compared to a Washington team that has been running out in transition. So a bit of a dichotomy there. The series history between Oregon and Washington State, well, Oregon's lost the last 3 at the Palouse and Pullman. However, the Ducks have had a lot of success against Washington State away from Pullman. The Ducks have won 8 of the last 9 away from Pullman. So Oregon's had Washington State's number everywhere except for the Palouse, and we'll see if Oregon can turn that tide against Washington State coming up on Saturday night. It'll be interesting to see what the atmosphere looks like in Pullman. School starts similar to the University of Oregon for Washington State on Monday. And so if you watch the game against the Beavers, it didn't look like it was a full stadium for Washington State, but as more students continue to come in for the new year, there could be more fans in attendance. So could be a bring your own juice game for the Ducks, or could be a rowdy atmosphere. It really depends on how many students are back for Washington State. But it is going to be a big-time matchup and another potential big Pac-12 victory for Oregon as the Ducks go into Washington State at 3-0 in conference, and Washington State just got their first win. They're 1-2 in the Pac-12 slate. So a big weekend for men's hoops coming up for Oregon on the hardwood after they just got their win. All right, we're still flashing back to last weekend. This Monday, really, it was Oregon who played against Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl. Ducks got the win. We still have to talk to so many more players from the field. We're getting to all that coming up next on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Into the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We just talked hoops as the Ducks got another big Pac-12 win, their third in a row, their fourth consecutive victory for Oregon men's basketball. But Oregon football, they just had another 12-win season. They're sixth in program history, and there's a whole bunch of Ducks who are saying farewell for Oregon that Dusty Harrow was able to catch up with on the sideline after the game. The first of which, running back Bucky Irving. He had a solid game in the Fiesta Bowl, had a huge run that sparked the offense in the early second quarter for Oregon that brought them down into the red zone. And, well, he has had a heck of a career with Oregon, and here's how he capped it off with Dusty.
Bucky, what's it mean to go out a Fiesta Bowl champion?
I mean, it's always an honor to go back and go to war with the guys one last time. It's been an honor. My past 2 years here at Oregon, it's been amazing.
You know, you think about making that decision, going to the NFL and coming back and playing this game. Was it a tough call for you when you look at this brotherhood of guys?
No, I'm a competitor. If my team need me, I'm going to be down to play every time.
I love it. And what did it mean to go out with these guys, the other guys that are leaving with you, and go out on a high note like this one?
It's always good to go out on a high note, just going into next season on the win, and always good to start the 2024 season off like that.
Hey, congratulations on a great career here at Oregon, and good luck to you. Go have fun.
If my team needs me, I'll be there every time. That's the type of player that Bucky Irving is, and he's had a heck of a career every time for Oregon that he's laced them up. This season ran for 1,180 yards, 6.3 yards per carry, and 11 touchdowns, part of one of just two tandems in the country to have double-digit rushing touchdowns, him and Jordan James this year. And not only did he do it on the ground, he did it with his hands. He was one of the top receiving backs all year long. As I was calling the games this year for the student station, I was continuing to update my spotter charts, and each week it was, well, Bucky Irving, he's top in the nation, second in the nation, third in the nation, and so many receiving stats. This year, 56 receptions, 413 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. He's a 1,000-yard rusher for the second consecutive year. Last year in the bowl game, he capped it off with an MVP, an offensive MVP of the Holiday Bowl, also a 2-time All-Pac-12 teamer on the 2 years that he has been in the conference. So a heck of a career for Bucky Irving in green and yellow, and looking forward to see what he's going to do in the next chapter. Someone else who I'm looking forward what they're going to do, Casey Rogers, a big-time part of the defensive line for Oregon, someone who's also been with the Ducks for the last 2 seasons. He also caught up with Dusty on the sidelines post-game. Here he is.
This has been a heck of a year for you, man. I mean, you come into this season, and it's not just on the field, but off the field, getting engaged after the Civil War. What has this season meant to you, being your last one at being a Duck?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's super special that being my last one, and it's just awesome to be able to put a cap on it, a Fiesta Bowl championship cap to be exact. But it was awesome. We came down here on a business trip, and we executed the way we wanted to, and obviously the score came out the way we wanted it to as well. Respect the Liberty. They came out fighting, and they're a great team. Obviously, going undefeated the whole regular season, and then making it into a Liberty Bowl. That's awesome for them, and nothing but respect. But man, it feels good to put a championship trophy in our hands and put a championship hat on and go back and enjoy it. And that's it, man. That's all she wrote for me. So 6 years.
Resiliency is kind of like the mantra. It's kind of what you guys have gone through, whether it's in the season and in this game. Came out, they go down, they march down, they score. What was the messaging? What were you guys kind of saying to each other as you guys were putting this game together and really putting the clamps down?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of knew that they were going to come out hot. I mean, I think every team would. But we just knew we had the game's going to come in paces, whether it's going to be good or bad, and we knew we had to manage that as well as we could. And it was expected the way they came out, and it would have been nice to not have that happen, but they came out flying and executed right away. But we had to adjust, which is what we did, and obviously we took care of business.
What are you going to remember the most about being a Duck?
Just strapping up every day and going out with the guys who I played with and the coaches. I mean, I got super lucky to be able to transfer here and to play 2 years with these guys, and it's been nothing but special. And man, I'm just happy I got to do it.
You come in with Dan Lanning, and you guys, your 2 years here were with him. What does he mean to you as a coach?
Coach Lanning means everything to me. I mean, when I was being recruited, a lot of times you see coaches who act like family guys and act certain ways just to get the recruit to come. But Coach Lanning is nothing but genuine. He's been a family. He's loved my family. He loved my wife and everything from the first day that I got here. And, he means the world to me. I'm so happy I got to play for them, man.
Now it's time for you to celebrate this Fiesta Bowl. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Casey Rogers talking with Dusty on the field after the game. And one of the coolest moments for me this season was after that Oregon State game, just sitting up in the booth after our broadcast wrapped up and looking down onto the field and seeing him propose to his now fiance and all of his teammates around him mob him after the game. That was such a cool moment. Also, we feel lucky in here as we have one of the best pieces of memorabilia. Casey Rogers signed football trading card. Yeah, this I don't know why we haven't put it into a frame yet, but Casey Rogers, his signature came on here, and I'm going to hold on to this. I definitely don't think that it's going to – there we go. I definitely don't think this is going to leave anytime soon, this Casey Rogers trading card. He signed it. Yeah, it's signed. It's signed right here. Yeah, he's got that green marker for the green and yellow Ducks. Yeah, pretty fitting for Casey Rogers. His stats this year, 22 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, a sack and a half, and 4 quarterback hits on the season for Casey Rogers, making his impact known as an interior defensive lineman. Don't normally get a ton of stats for an interior defensive lineman. That's a pretty well-rounded stat sheet for a guy that plays up the middle. A big-time season for Casey Rogers for the Ducks in his last 2 years and a heck of an Oregon career. All right, we're taking a timeout, but we're not done with the audio from the field. It's Jackson Powers Johnson, the Remington Award winner, coming up next on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, Honey Bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union here in the Country Financial Studio. We talked a lot of Oregon men's basketball after the huge win last night over Washington, the 76-74 buzzer-beating, not quite buzzer-beating, game-winning shot by Jermaine Couisnard down the stretch in that game. Also talked to a few guys from the field after the Fiesta Bowl. Bucky Irving, Casey Rogers wrapping up Oregon careers. Also Jackson Powers Johnson didn't play in the game, but one heck of an Oregon career. And I love that he was there on the sideline, still with the guys. Didn't play in the game, but he's still a part of the team. He was showing his support, and he also was able to catch up with Dusty after the game and break down the win for the Ducks and his Oregon career. Here's JPJ.
What does this mean to see your brothers that you fought with for so long go out in the Fiesta Bowl victory?
Well, it's awesome. They worked their butt off, and it showed in the game. And I'm just honored that, I got to take a step back and, watch, be a spectator. And it was great, and they did a great job. I'm so proud of them, and I'm proud of this team.
It was hard for you. I saw you out there calling checks, calling your shots. What is it like for you to be in there and then now take a step back, knowing the calls, knowing the offense, and knowing where everybody should be?
It was funny. It's kind of hard to kind of sit back and try not to control it just because I controlled it all year. But Poncho did an amazing job filling in, and he did an elite job, and he'll have an elite career here. But it was funny for sure, and it was a fun time.
Remington Award. What does that award mean to you personally? It is a team award wholly, but being the best center in all of college football is something that has never been done in this program or the conference, where there's been a lot of great centers that have come through here.
It means everything to me, and I attribute it to all the people that got me here. And it means more just because how much hard work, everybody around me put into me. And, I feel honored, and it was a great year.
You've had a short time with Coach Lanning. What is the imprint that he has left on you, and what has he made of this program?
Coach Lanning is the best coach in the country. He's such a great coach, just, football-wise, but off the field, he's a better man. And, he'll always be one of my, coaches in the future, and he'll be he's a father figure to all of us. And I was just humbled to be a part of his, first years here.
What's it like to go through this season and watch Bo Nix set a bunch of records and be the commander of this offense for the last 2 seasons?
Bo had an incredible career here, and I was humbled to even play with him. It's special. And every time I snapped the ball back to him, every time we got a chance to play together, I knew it was special, and everybody knew it was special. So to have him do all those great things here at Oregon is, it means a lot, just because as an offensive line, it's such a, great relationship that you have with a quarterback, and seeing him do so well makes us feel great. So,
and one last thing before we let you go, you're a Duck always, right? What does being a Duck football player mean to you?
This is a good question. Being a Duck is, being resilient, having that Oregonian blood flow through you. And I'm always going to be a Duck. I feel like I'm an Oregonian, and I just love all the Duck fans and everything in my heart. So, yeah.
Congratulations on a great career, and good luck to you at the next level.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We had Rob Mosley on the program 2 days ago, and he talked about, Mose did as himself as an Oregon graduate, seeing players come through and be ambassadors for the university in ways similar to the way that you just heard Jackson Powers Johnson speak. There are fewer, better ambassadors for the University of Oregon, guys that represent what it means to be an Oregon football player better than JPJ. Here's just some of his accolades throughout his career. This season, the only Remington Award winner for the Ducks, also a 3-time Joe Moore Pancake Block of the Week award winner. This one against Washington State as he's getting out in front and he is running over a man on the perimeter if you're watching live along with us on YouTube and Facebook. Also had one against Hawaii where he finished the play strong and absolutely ran down a defensive lineman, did a full somersault in the process where he got that one against Hawaii. Also had one against Utah where he's out in front of a play and he continues to finish and drive, and I don't feel I do feel bad for the linebacker in that spot. I feel bad for just about anyone who's on the other side of Jackson Powers Johnson this season. By the way, one person from every position group he pancaked. The first one was a member of the secondary. The second one was a member of the defensive line. And then the third one was a member of the linebacking corps. Well, it doesn't matter. None of them are bigger than JPJ, and he's more physical. 3 Pancake of the Week award wins for him this season. By the way, the Ducks 5 times this year took home the Pancake Block of the Week award for Joe Moore. Johnny Cornelius had it 1 week, and Stephen Jones had it the other. And then, of course, the 3-peat for JPJ. JPJ also led this Oregon offensive line that allowed the fewest sacks in the nation, a Joe Moore finalist for Best Offensive Line in the country. Also a 2-time Pac-12 Offensive Lineman of the Week, JPJ. And my favorite part of the game notes, which a great job done by our sports information director staff, Nate Kruger, Todd Miles and company, just making those every single week. My favorite part is when I get to look down on the offensive line notes and I see the knockdowns chart. Does anyone want to take a guess for how many JPJ had? I'll spoil it. 37. He had 37 knockdowns this year. They don't play 37 games. He had about 3 or 4 a game this season, just running over people because he's that good. One of the best centers that has walked through this university that has had so many great lineage of centers. Guys like Cronus Grasu, Max Unger come to mind. Both of those guys, Remington Award finalists, the only winner in program history. Man, we just talked to JPJ, chomping it up with Dusty after the game. Okay, those are all of our post-game interviews from the Fiesta Bowl. We've got to get to a timeout, but that doesn't mean we're done with the show. No, we've talked men's basketball. We've talked football. All right, what's that? Women's basketball. Oh, yeah, 2 top 10 teams on the horizon coming up this weekend. We're breaking it all down next. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Welcome back to Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union, where people are the point. We're here in the Country Financial Studio, wrapping up the week of Duck Insider here on a Friday. We broke down the men's basketball victory last night over Washington, the 76-74 win over the Huskies, the first quad one win of the season for Oregon on the men's side of things. They have a chance at another coming up tomorrow at 7 o'clock with Joey Mack on the call, starting at 6:30 for the pregame show on the Oregon Sports Network as they go to Pullman to play Washington State. Also, we broke down some of the Oregon football Fiesta Bowl as the Ducks, they got that 45-6 win over Liberty earlier in the week, and we talked with Bucky Irving, Casey Rogers, Jackson Powers Johnson. It's a big test also in front of the women for Oregon this week as they continue to move forward through the beginnings of their Pac-12 slate. The Ducks lost on New Year's Eve against Oregon State in a game in which the Ducks were up in the first half and really contained an undefeated Oregon State team, but couldn't quite sustain through the second half. Well, now they're going up against two top 10 teams in the country. Tonight, 7 o'clock, against UCLA, the second-ranked team in the country. So it's going to be a tough test. That game is going to be on Pac-12 Oregon on the TV side of things. A little bit of a breakdown for this ball game as Oregon continues to move forward through their Pac-12 schedule. Oregon, the scouting report on the Ducks, they've done a really good job of limiting teams with their defense. If you heard Kelly Graves on the program yesterday, he's pretty happy with where this team is at defensively, limiting opponents and also taking care of the ball offensively. The Ducks don't really turn the ball over. The key for the Ducks, according to Coach KG, making those big three players for the Ducks, Chance Gray, Grace Van Sluten, Philippina Shea, making shots for Oregon and being efficient. Last game against Oregon State, the Ducks, that big three, didn't have an efficient night from the field, and it hurt the Ducks, especially in that second half in terms of their scoring. Oregon's going to need that, especially against a team like UCLA that limits opponents in a whole bunch of different ways. What does UCLA do well? They're an undefeated team this year. They've only had 3 games decided by single-digit points. So they're a team that wins and wins convincingly. Oregon looking to hang around with UCLA and maybe knock them off even a little bit late. It's a UCLA team that is really big on the glass. They lead the country in turnover margin. The good thing for the Ducks is that, well, we've got Philly. And she's one of the best rebounders in not only the conference but in the country, and it's really hard to contain someone as big as Philly on the glass. Going to need a big day out of Philly, presumably on the glass, to hang with the Bruins of UCLA. And also, Kelly Graves, he had some really, really big praise for Lauren Betts when he met with the media earlier this week. He talked about how she revolutionized this UCLA team and how she has been a big-time difference maker for them and has really taken them to the next level from a team that's just played sound to a team that's now number 2 in the country. So a whole bunch of auxiliary pieces as well for UCLA that help out Betts, but she's the focal point, according to Kelly Graves, that has really changed the tune for this Bruins team over the last, really since the start of the season. For USC, that game coming up on Sunday, a noon tip-off against the Women of Troy down in Los Angeles. It's a USC team that's really big. They're a team that gets rebounds better than almost any team in the country, well, other than UCLA, rather in the conference, other than UCLA. And they're a really big presence around the rim. They block a lot of shots. They lead the conference in shot blocking, so Oregon's going to have to be efficient in order to stymie that USC defense a little bit. And then Juju Watkins, she's the second leading scorer in the nation. That is someone that is going to be pretty difficult to go up against if you're Oregon at that point in the season. So two difficult matchups this weekend, a pretty tough weekend for Oregon on the road as they go and play the LA schools in what is going to be a tough test for the Ducks on the hardwood, but one that Kelly Graves said when he talked with the media, well, the players are up for it. The players are they're thinking they can go down to Los Angeles and get wins. And he said if you don't have that type of mindset, well, why even show up on the plane? And I like a team that is going with that type of mindset against two top 10 teams looking to make a little bit of havoc in what is a very difficult Pac-12 slate on the women's side of things. So how things look for the weekend, it's going to be women's basketball tonight at 7 o'clock against UCLA in Pauley Pavilion. Then on Saturday, it's going to be the men who face off against Washington State at 7 o'clock. That is going to be on the Oregon Sports Network with the pregame show starting at 6:30. And then women's basketball again on Sunday at 12 o'clock. Chris Clayton will have the calls down in Los Angeles. 12 o'clock tip for that Sunday game, and then 11:30 pregame show. Tonight it will be 7 o'clock tip with a 6:30 pregame show. What are things looking like as we continue to move forward? Well, it's all basketball all the time as, well, once the Ducks wrap up this road weekend, it's going to be Oregon back at home for next weekend, where you'll next be able to see both the men and the women as they continue to move through their Pac-12 schedule. So a whole lot of Oregon sports on the hardwood that is continuing to come up as the Ducks continue to move through Pac-12 conference play. And then before you know it, it's going to be baseball season, softball season, spring sports all around the corner with lacrosse and everything like that. Well, we're just 1, 2, 3, 4. We're about 5 weeks away from the season starting in spring sports. We're just out of crossover season. We're going to go right back in to crossover season. So it's a really good time at the university to continue to, well, invest, because there's just so much going on. It feels like I don't even have a full grasp on where everything's at, because it just keeps coming. Before you know it, it's going to be the end of the year. It's a great time to be a Duck, and it's a great time after a Ducks win, 76-74 over Washington. See you, everybody.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Sometimes I just cannot